right, these are the answers to our quiz review for the factoring. First thing we're going to do is just pull out a greatest common factor. I noticed that 5 is the largest thing that divides evenly into them, and there are 5 W's I can pull out of both of them. 5 divided by 5 is 1. We have, this is a 5. We had 7 W's. We pulled 5 away, so there's 2 W's left over there. And we had 20 divided by 5 is 4. And then we had 5 W's. We pulled 5 out. There's a 4 left. Now, this would be okay. I think this is where we're going to be heading for tomorrow. But to be honest, this also can break down. So technically speaking, you could go another level there and do that. But again, either one of those is fine. For over here, the largest thing that divides evenly into all of those is 3. And I'm going to just go ahead and write down 15 divided by 3 is 5. That's a -8, and that's at an 11. All right, so that just kind of gets that framed up for us. There are 3 A's here, 4 here, 2 here. We can pull 2 out front. That'll leave us 1 left over there, 2 left over there, and none for that term. There's 2 B's here, 5 here, 3 here. I can pull 2 B's out. That one's all gone. That would have 3 B's left, and this would have 1. All right? So we end up with this. If we want to rewrite it just to make it look a little nicer, that's okay, or you can leave it in the form that we had up there. Again, both of these are the same answer there. All right, so we're going to be doing that first tomorrow on the quiz. Then we get to here, and if it helps you stay organized, we're looking for 2 numbers that multiplied equal -28 and add equal 3. Numbers that do that would be 7 and -4. All right, so this will be y plus 7 and y minus 4. Here, 2 numbers that multiplied equal 35 and add equal -12 would be -7 and -5. So m minus 7 and m minus 5. For this one, 2 numbers that multiply equal -14 and add equal 1. I don't know. There are none, right? So this one does not factor. That's not going to happen very often. I would not anticipate that being on the quiz tomorrow, but in general, there are things that do not factor. This is one of them. What multiplies equal -12, that is equal -11. That'd be -12 and +1. So g minus 12 and g plus 1. Here's one of our 2-steppers, so we're just going to go ahead quickly, put the s times s in the front. 64 is 8 times 8. Make 1 plus 1 minus. That's pretty easy. All right, here I'm looking for 2 numbers that multiply equal -19 and add equal 18. That would be 19 and -1. So h plus 19 and h minus 1. 2 more just to make sure we got the idea. We're looking for 2 numbers that multiply equal 15, add equal -8. That'd be -5 and -3. So r minus 5, r minus 3. And then finally, what 2 numbers multiply equal 36 and add equal 12? That would be 6 and 6. So q plus 6, q plus 6. And that one could be written as q plus 6 squared. It doesn't have to be, but it could. All right, the next part here says these are 2-step problems. Pull out the greatest common factor and then factor what's left over. So notice that 5 divides evenly into all of them. We're going to pull a 5 out. 5 divided by 5 is 1, so I'll just have the x squared. 45 divided by 5 is 9. 70 divided by 5 is 14. All right, now we're looking for 2 numbers that multiplied equal 14 and add equal 9. That's 7 and 2. So this will split into x plus 7 and x plus 2, and the 5 will stay in the front. So we're doing it in those 2 steps. Pull out the greatest common factor, then break down what you have left over. This one, there isn't a number that divides evenly into all of these, but they do all have an h in them. So I'm going to pull that h out, and that'll give me h squared plus 2h minus 24. Okay. Now I'm looking for 2 numbers that multiply equal -24 and add equal 2. 6 and -4 make that happen. So this breaks down into h plus 6 and h minus 4, and we have that h that goes in the front there. This one, I can divide all of those by 10. So I'm going to do that. And no, I can't pull a variable out. So we're just going to divide by 10. That'll give us p squared plus 11p plus 30. All right, now I'm looking for 2 numbers that multiply equal 30 and add equal 11. That'd be 5 and 6. So this breaks into P plus 6, P plus 5, with the 10 still in the front. This one here, I can divide all of those by 3, and you can pull a W out. So that's going to give us W squared minus 7W plus 12. All right, now I'm looking for two numbers that multiply equal 12 and add to equal -7. That'd be -3 and -4. So W minus 3, W minus 4, with the 3W in the front. All right, real good. These here require the diamond and the box method. So what that means is we have our diamond, but we have to multiply. 3 times 15, that's 45. 14 goes down here. I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to equal 45 and add to equal 14. That's 9 and 5. Those are going to be the x parts of this. So in the box, we have the 3x squared here. We have the 15 here. We're going to have a 9x. We're going to have a 5x. All right, so what would make 5x? Would it have to be 5 times x? There's nothing else that can make that. What can make the 3x squared? Well, that would be a 3x times an x. 15 would be 5 times 3. Let's check that out. 3x times 3 is 9x. Okay, we're all good there. So this factors into 3x plus 5 and x plus 3. Here for the diamond, 5 times 16, that's going to be a -80 with a -16 here. I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to equal -80 and add to equal -16. Now that could take us a little bit of time. Eventually, we will get to -20 and +4. They multiply to equal that and add to equal this. Okay. So in our box here, we're going to have 5y squared there. We're going to have -16 here. We'll have a -20y and a 4y. All right, so the 4y probably would be a 4 times y would be my guess, right? And this is probably going to be a 5y here then. 5 times what gives me -20? That would be a -4. -4 times 4 is -16. Okay, all that checks out. We've got 5y plus 4, and we got y minus 4. And that's how that one factors. Okay, so we'll see one or two of those for sure on the quiz tomorrow. All right, this one here says a rectangle has an area of this. One side is x plus 5. What's the other side? Well, basically, we're just trying to break this down. In other words, what two numbers multiply equal 15 and equal 8? It's 5 and 3. They already give us the plus 5, so x plus 3 must be the other side. So it's just a factoring problem, that's all. This one has a rectangle, has an area of this, and one side is that. What's the perimeter? So what we're going to do is break this down again. I want to find two numbers that multiply to equal -40, add to equal -3. It's -8 and +5. They already gave us the -8, so the y plus 5 is the other side. But this time they're asking for the perimeter. So what we're going to do is make a rectangle. Here's y minus 8, y minus 8. Here's y plus 5, y plus 5. So there is 1, 2, 3, 4 y's in that. And then -8 plus 5 minus 8 plus 5 is a -6. That's our perimeter then. Okay. All right, when Henry factored the expression, boom, he remembered that the two factors were exactly the same. What does f have to equal for this to be true? So if I'm factoring this out, we have our w squared here, right, ww. So these, because these are the same, these numbers have to add up. These terms have to add up to the 6w. That means they both have to be 3w, right? Which means these both have to be 3 out here. And if those both are 3 out there, 3 times 3 would make this a 9, and that's what f has to equal in order for that to be true. All right, good luck tomorrow.